welcome back. Yes, welcome back to another episode of Film Focus. Me, Fred Black.
Anthony Squire.
Yeah, and we're looking at 2 more films and 5 more trailers this week. Both very new releases and both very different opinions on which we've been talking about already.
Yeah.
So
let's get it over with.
You want to get this first film over with, and I'm not quite sure why, because I quite liked it. Our first film this week is
Only God Forgives.
Only God Forgives. This is the film by the guy who did Drive, which we liked last year.
That was a good film.
It's got Ryan Gosling as some kind of, well, this one, Only God Forgives, has Ryan Gosling as some sort of mob boss, kind of like drug dealer.
Who's in Bangkok's underworld.
Yeah.
And his mother, who is played by Kristen Scott Thomas. And to be honest, I thought, character-wise, she was a right bitch.
Well, to be honest, she's meant to play that. Yeah, but it starts off with, like, Ryan Gosling's brother being murdered, and then it's the thing, like, Ryan Gosling has to track down his killer and find out who his killer is. And that's pretty much the plot, and that's the thing, for something like Drive, which had, a fairly intricate plot.
I thought this film could have been so much better. It moves at a very slow pace. For example, someone says something like hello, and you have to wait a minute or so before the other person says hi.
I don't get why you have a problem with that now, because Drive was exactly the same.
But Drive
was exactly the same. If things like my dad was saying, should I go and see Only God Forgives? And I was saying to him, well, if you didn't like Drive, you're not going to like Only God Forgives, because it's more of the same kind of. It's very slow paced. It's very kind of atmospheric, and it builds more on the atmosphere and the kind of
story moved at a very slow pace. I mean, there was a horrible scene that the guy's being tortured.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Don't, because there are some hyper violent scenes in it, and I mean, I watch a lot of horror films. I don't know about you, but I watch a lot of horror films, and even for me, I was looking at it going, oh my god, this is like, it's difficult to watch at times, but
it was just the way they would have one of these really sort of mega violent scenes, then suddenly it would cut to someone doing karaoke.
That was the whole thing about that character, though, the policeman Chang.
Yeah,
it was the whole thing about him, was that's how he's. It was some sort of retired policeman, like vigilante cop kind of thing. Again, but I thought this film was just so weird and different, so different from anything else that's being made at the moment.
I think it was trying too hard to be different from other films. It was
maybe, but it's so kind of
just dragged on and on.
It's building up the for me. I can get up. I was right at the start. I was like, okay, this is moving just a tad slow. But once certain things start to happen, you have these weird kind of dream sequences that happen in kind of alternate places, and it starts building up curiosity, and it starts building up kind of a bit of suspense, and kind of things aren't quite normal here. And for me, it kind of just really wrapped itself around me. And once I left the cinema, I was just like, oh, okay. It took me like a few minutes to go, like, did I like that film or not? Was I kind of just shocked by it, and therefore,
Well, did you like it, or were you more shocked by it?
No, I did like it. Like, once I kind of properly went back over it and thought about it, I did like it. It took its time to build up all the plot and build up the characters, not really that much. But it was very effective, and plus when he wants to kind of get a point across, the director whose name I can still not pronounce, it's some weird
Nicholas Winding R-E-F-N.
Yeah, Riffin or something. It's something like that. But when he wants to get a point across, when he wants you to feel like kind of shock or suspense or terror, then he does it in quite a kind of forceful way. But then he'll kind of just pull back and have this kind of calm down for it. Like, especially the main torture scene in the film, you have that, and then you've got that come down from it, and then you're kind of just left kind of. I mean, for me, I was left a bit like kind of rattled, just going, okay, what the hell is going on here? And it for me, it was just very atmospheric. It just very kind of, you have to give it time.
I think it was trying to be too different. It was trying to be. I don't even know what it was trying to be. For me, it was just boring because it just dragged on. I was glad when it ended and I could leave. I even felt a bit depressed after I left.
Well, it is a bit of a depressing film. Let's be honest. It's
yeah.
Nicholas Winding or whatever his name is doesn't exactly deal with the happy-go-lucky films at the moment.
Well, I'd be surprised if he ever did a happy film.
Do like some kind of children's animation or something. But yeah, it is a very kind of like downbeat film, very kind of violent and kind of depressing in times. But
the story moved too slow. I'm just repeating myself.
Yeah, but well, if that's the overriding factor for you, I mean. But I was just kind of like completely captivated by it once I looked back, and I was just like, yeah, this is good. And the thing is, though, would you go back and watch Drive? This is the thing. Like, Drive moved along at as slow a pace.
I think Drive was done a lot better than this.
I
was a little disappointed in the director, to be honest, when I left the cinema.
I'm curious to think what you think of Drive. If you rewatched it, would you think it was too slow? Like, I'm just thinking because it was about the same sort of pace, and
the story was done better in Drive. I'd have to watch it again because it's been a while since I've seen it. But I gave this 3 out of 10.
Can't believe you with that. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
9?
A 9. Don't Fright Night me on that one. But no, like I think the thing is, like I was talking to some of my friends about it because I saw this like on Wednesday or Thursday, and I was out Friday and Saturday to see people, and saying like he makes sort of like Marmite films, which sounds a bit of a weird thing to say.
What, you mean you either love it or you hate it?
You either love it or you hate it. And the thing is, like when Drive came out, there were all these people like, oh, I absolutely love it, we love it, it's brilliant. And people were like, oh, fucking hate it, it's terrible, it's too boring, it's too slow. And you didn't really have anyone in the middle. And it's the same with this. If you look at all the reviews online, there's barely
You're right,
anyone.
I couldn't imagine anyone being a sort of neutral ground.
There was just like,
it was in some parts, but not in others. Yeah, I couldn't imagine anyone.
You can't imagine anyone going, meh, it's all right. Yeah, I'll watch it again if it's on. And if you look at the reviews online, there's barely anyone in the middle ground. It's either really positive reviews or really negative reviews, and you're just kind of like... So for a director to kind of pull that off, in a sense, that's quite impressive, because all these films just have like a kind of mishmash of different reviews, and
in one way, I suppose that's good.
Well, yeah, but it definitely creates some discussion, because we're kind of going... It's like a 3, really? You can't like
9.
No. Anyway, shall we move on?
Let's move on.
I think we should move on to the trailers. Yes.
Sorry, before we go on to the trailers, I have to mention this.
Oh my god! Will you not mention Sharknado? You B-movie nut.
Sharknado was on this week, and it was spot on. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel. I tell you, it was so seriously overacted. I'm just going to go and
like you can have you should have like your own spin-off B-movie show or something like that.
No, because you don't really get B-movies like this, which are just fantastic.
All the B-movies that I've seen a fair few of yours, and you like to collect them. But all of them are just, they do kind of do the same thing. It's like bad special effects, bad acting, bad story, bad continuity, and then it's just like big monster. That's what Big Monster always works as well.
That's what it comes to. Well, for me, but I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
the overacting, you can just crack open a can or two, sit back, chill out. I mean, Sharknado, it was so seriously overacted.
As most B-movies generally are.
Yeah, but this really was fun. Anyway, sorry, but getting back to the trailers.
I knew you were... I was like, yeah, look, maybe we should do like another, like a B-movie episode. We'll try like 2 B-movie episodes.
Well, we were lucky last week, films we had.
Yes. What films did we have last week?
Trailers.
Oh, the trailers.
Machete Kills.
Oh, Bad Milo and stuff like
Milo.
that. But this week we got trailers, and we got a quite good mix of trailers, actually. Which one do you want to start with?
Muppets Most Wanted.
Yes, Muppets! Muppets are back.
Well, I don't get this. You love the Muppets, but you didn't like the Smurfs too.
No, I did not like the Smurfs too. Probably because I didn't grow up watching the Smurfs, and I've seen lots of...
You didn't have to grow up. I mean, the Smurfs 2 was just a mega happy OTT film.
I can't
And
take
to be honest,
like that.
Muppets Most Wanted, that's going to go along the same sort of ground.
But the Muppets, like, you always felt the thing like the Smurfs, they took themselves a bit too seriously. It was all meant to like getting moral messages across and all this sort of stuff. The Muppets don't do that. The Muppets are just there like Looney Tunes, or like the Merry Melody cartoons of like the 80s or something, and they are just there for like sheer stupid entertainment, like And I didn't get that with the Smurfs. I felt too hard with the Smurfs. It was trying to shove moral messages down my throat. Or down kids' throats. Or
come on, it's a kids. It's mainly a kids' film. What do you expect? Of course, we're going to throw in a moral message.
You don't have to do that, though. I mean, Despicable Me wasn't really moral messagey. Monsters
University.
University.
Make fun of moral messages.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't have to put them in. But yeah, The Muppets Most Wanted. I'm very excited for it. We're going to go way off track with that one. But yeah, the trailer's up on... Did we watch it on Apple? Oh no, it's on Empire we watched it. And yeah, it's just more of Animal, more Kermit, more Miss Piggy.
I mean, I'll live with you. The trailer for this one looked good. It looks like it's got some good humour in it. Yeah, it's like a fun film.
Mm. I mean, they rebooted it quite a few years ago. Or was it last year? They had Muppets with like Jason Segel and... Seagal, the guy who's in How I Met Your Mother as Marshall, he was in it, and it was really funny. It was like a kind of musical film as well. I'm not sure they're going the musical route with this one. They look to be going more kind of slapstick comedy.
I think I'll probably prefer this one to the last one.
Yeah, if it goes down, you don't like the musicals that much?
I do like musicals, but I prefer more slapstick.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Right, next, moving on. Which one next?
Enough said.
Enough said. Enough said. It just sounds like
that
just sounds like we're ending the episode. Enough said. Turn the camera off.
Two people meet at a party, start going out, and then she meets his ex-wife.
Yes, but this is filmed with the late James Gandolfini, who was the big
Sopranos.
The Sopranos, yeah, and he died very recently. And we had this thing with like Bernie Mac a few years ago, where he died, and then a couple of films came out that he was working on.
All right.
But yeah, now he's this. It sounded like quite a quirky little comedy.
I like the look of it. It looks like more sort of alternative humour.
Yeah, not just kind of. It wasn't going for
not
like
just
the
usual.
Pie
Oh no! Don't slip on that banana.
Well, that's the slapstick thing we were talking about. But no, it wasn't kind of gross out or kind of just simple jokes. It was more kind of subtle and kind of grown up humour, and it looked kind of like. It's just our kind of comedy, really.
It looks enjoyable.
It did look very enjoyable. Not much to say about that. Well, and not that it's a bad trailer, obviously, and we wouldn't have picked it for the show.
I mean, one of the trailers we're going to talk about in a minute. I'll wait till we come up to it.
Yeah, next up, do you want to go for Her?
Oh yeah, a bloke...
Oh yeah, Her, yeah. So this is a Spike Jonze film with Joaquin Phoenix in it, where a guy basically gets a new kind of intelligent operating system for his computer, which kind of speaks to him and
kind of falls in love with it.
Yeah.
That's what I got from the trailer.
It looks like he starts kind of forming a relationship with it, and
it looks funny.
Weird.
It looks kind of alternative humour.
Yeah, it looked very funny. It looked very kind of off-worldy, off-worldy really. It looked futuristic without kind of...
Futuristic. He looked like someone who was getting over... did his ex-wife die or something? Was his former girlfriend die, or did she just leave him? I don't know. It's a trailer.
I think she just left him, I think. That was what we got from the trailer. Obviously, I've watched the film to find out,
But he looks like he's falling in love with this computer.
Yeah, and they have this bit at the start of the trailer where they ask him like a couple of questions, and it forms like a personality based off that.
Well, yeah, kind of what he's looking for.
Yeah, and then, I mean, it just looked so strange, but in a really good way. Like some of these films, like
it looked like someone had actually thought about it, but I know trailers can mislead.
Yeah, they can. So we'll see what that one's like. I hope it gets like a wide cinematic release.
One thing I will say about Only God Forgives, it was on at one time.
Yeah, well, this is the thing.
Well, not one time, but I mean one time of the day. And it was only on for a couple of days at one cinema.
Yeah, because we usually go to like the Odeon or Cineworld to watch it, and for a film that got this bigger hype, and there was quite a lot of hype around it because Drive was such a big success. It got 3 days at the Odeon and Cineworld. Yeah. 3 days and 3 showing times of those days, and then that's it. And the thing is, like, Despicable Me 2 has been around.
Going strong.
It's still around. There's still, there's still that going around. It's like, I don't understand the cinema thing. I mean, you had to kind of skip it and go to the Duke of York's, didn't you, to watch it? So you had to try and find somewhere else that was showing it because.
Yes. Thank you, Duke of York.
Yeah, thank you, Brighton Cinemas. But yeah, it was just so weird that a film of such weird big hype didn't get like.
I'm only guessing it's because of the violence in it. I'm not trying to over dramatise this. It's just I'm only guessing.
No, I don't know. Maybe it was they showed the 18 certificate.
Or was it too independent a film? I don't know.
I don't know. With a name like Ryan Gosling as well, he's quite a big actor now. So you think with his face on the poster, people will be drawn to it by that. Yeah. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Visitors.
I liked this trailer because it's
very basic. Yes.
If you imagine, basically, if someone's just staring at the camera, and then the camera just moves on to someone else staring at the camera,
just keeps moving on.
Keeps moving.
This was the thing that grabbed me about this trailer, and I wanted to talk about it. This was by a man called Godfrey Reggio, and the music's by Philip Glass, who's a famous conductor, and the guys who did Koyanis Katsi and Power Katsi and Nakoi Katsi. And you looked at me like when I first said this, like, what are those films? And they are very kind of surreal kind of documentaries that don't have any dialogue in them, and they're just driven by music and visual images.
What, the orchestra?
Yeah, and they kind of talk about the state of life in the world, like kind of life out of balance and life.
Oh, reflection of the world.
Yeah, reflection of the world in different places at different times, and they are incredibly strange films, but they are very, very good, and they're unlike anything you'll ever seen. And the fact that Godfrey Reggio has gone back and done something similar, he seems to be doing something very similar to that. That's got me very excited.
I'm really curious about this one. Visitor, obviously it's called Visitors. And it's just way for people looking at the camera, like...
Yeah, the expressions that change, they change subtly and sometimes a bit kind of shocked. And you just wonder what they're looking at, what are they actually kind of...
I mean, I love the simplicity of this trailer. I didn't have to throw in any pointless, endless amounts of dialogue.
Well, that's the thing, I think there won't be any dialogue in the film at all. I'll be very surprised if there is, but it doesn't sound like there will be. Right. Knowing his films that he's done in the past, so... But anyway, yeah, it's a very interesting...
I'll see this one when it comes out.
Yeah.
Look forward to
it. I'm assuming it won't get general cinematic release. I think it'll probably get like Duke
It's not going to be like Only God Forgives.
Yeah, it might just be only on at the Duke of York's for a couple of days. But even so, I think if we got a slow week, we should go check it out, or just check it out in general. Okay. Not that we're going to have a slow week. We've got a very busy month coming up, haven't we? Like we got what did we do? 8 films over the next 4 weeks to see, and some of them are being released in the space of 2 weeks. So we're going to be very fucking busy at the cinema.
But don't worry, we'll see them.
Oh, we will see them all. We will prevail. But yes, and the final trailer,
Red 2.
No, the final trailer. We haven't even got onto Thor.
Oh yeah,
Thor,
the
Dark World.
Dark World. This looks good.
You just moved. You just skipped ahead way ahead of yourself there. But yeah, Thor 2, The Dark World. Now, I haven't seen any kind of trailers for this yet. There was a teaser released about a month or so ago, but
that didn't have much in it though.
Yeah, did it not? This one seems to just be more about Loki and Thor and how they're getting on with each other, which isn't well.
Well, considering what Loki did in the Avengers.
And the first Thor film entirely.
This looks good.
Just to put it simply, yes, it does. I mean, Thor was always a bit of a kind of outsider thing for Marvel, given that they've got earthly heroes like Iron Man and Captain America and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now they've got this Norse god roaming around destroying elves and
I mean, next year looks good for cartoon comics to films. You've got X-Men, Days of Future Past, and Bryan
Singer being back for that. Yeah, you've got Thor, you've got Captain America,
Spider-Man,
and more Spider-Man. Oh, of course, you've got Spider-Man too, haven't you? So yeah, that's going to be a very interesting kind of mix of films going on there. But yeah, Thor: The Dark World, very, very dark, called The Dark World, but obviously it'll be a kind of light-hearted humour, obviously, because it's a Marvel film. It's aimed at kiddies.
Oh yeah, that woman gives Loki a slap and that's what you did to New York.
Yeah, that's what you did to New York. And anyway, yes, now you really want to move on to this next film, so we will. Let's move on to our review for Red 2.
Red 2, a sequel to the 2010 film.
Yeah, with retired, extremely dangerous CIA agents. You got Bruce Willis, John Malkovich, Helen Mirren, Anthony Hopkins in this one, because Morgan Freeman not in this one. He wasn't the first one, but
yeah, shame he couldn't be in this one.
Yeah, it is a shame, but I was actually quite excited for this one. I mean, every time we went to the cinema to see a film, I saw trailers for it, and
this was good. I think it was an improvement on the first one.
Yes, it was definitely took all the strong points from it, and kind of I didn't like the kind of like cartoony transitions they did. I don't know, just they looked a bit kind of tacky as a very kind of small niggling point I'm putting in there, but
yeah, that's just a niggling point. But I think Dean Parasot, I think he did a good job of this.
Yeah, I don't know if he did the first one or not. I can't remember.
I don't know
who did the first one. But yeah, I mean, the action flowed well, and there was some good, like, kind of weird action scenes. Plus, the whole thing with, like, they introduced Catherine Zeta-Jones, and the whole thing with her and Bruce Willis's girlfriend, and there's some funny gags in it.
Oh, there was this really good scene where one of the bad guys.
You're going to get into the like weird action scenes.
No, he throws the knife, and Bruce Willis like claps his hands and catches the knife.
Oh yeah, he catches like inches away from her face, doesn't he? Yeah. But yeah, this is the thing. Like the first film had like these all like kind of random things where Bruce Willis would step out of a spinning cop car, and the cop car would miss him by like that much as he's walking out of it. And it's like this kind of superhero-esque kind of graphic novel kind of thing. And they do that several times. They do all like Catherine Zeta-Jones like slides up to him in a car and he dives in as well.
Helen Mirren with the car spinning round and suddenly
she's like shooting out both sides and you get a little overexcited there, Anthony. I mean, yes, the action scenes were very good. I mean, I can only say the ending let it down slightly because it kind of did just fizzle out a little bit.
No, I liked the ending. It had that sort of impossibility to it, which I would expect from this kind of film. You can't take it seriously.
Yeah, but for something that was so, these are CIA agents. They meticulously plan stuff out, and they are very good at what they do. And the ending, I mean, we talked about that massive plot hole, like when I first arrived here.
It was part of the joke.
Well, not really, because
how did he get it? How did he put it there? It's Bruce.
It's Bruce. It's Bruce. It's Bruce. That's how he does it.
Exactly.
No, but we talked about that, and it kind of just ruined everything for me because that was the main thing I was thinking going out the cinema was like, how did he no, because he was standing right there. You couldn't have, and it just kind of ruined everything. To be honest, I mean, I'm still going to give it a 7 because it was still very fun and enjoyable. It was just. I would have given it an 8, maybe even a 9. If the ending hadn't been that kind of just,
I liked it.
It kind of threw it away like that.
It reminded me of when Expendables 2 came out. It's like the first Expendables did a great job, but number 2 just took it to much more of an extreme. For me, this Red 2, that's what it did. It took all the good points from the first one and just took them to a much more of an extreme than this one.
Yeah,
but it was good humour, light-hearted. And after seeing a film like Only God Forgives...
Yeah. Oh yeah, you did see them in that order. I saw them in the opposite order. This is the thing. I saw Red 2 back on Tuesday or something like that, and then Only God Forgives on Thursday. And... oh my God, I'm still kind of shaking and kind of like, Only God Forgives.
Well, don't worry. You can always watch Sharknado if you...
Oh God. Unfortunately, I can. And I probably will, to be honest. Have you still got it on the Skybox?
Yeah.
Of course you have.
Don't worry, it's still there.
It's still there for my viewing.
Sleep safe tonight.
My viewing pleasure. But yeah, I think that's all we got time for tonight.
Yeah.
Next week we are reviewing Alan Partridge, which
that'll be hit or miss.
Yeah, everyone seems to be like raving about this, and I've never seen the TV series, like the Alan Partridge TV show, so I don't know if it's actually going to be that funny or not. Hopefully, it's got like a broader sense of humour than just for fans of the TV show.
Well, it has to because mainstream being released at the cinema.
We'll see, and we're doing Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters.
Curious about this one.
Have you seen the first one?
No.
I've seen the first one. The first one, I'm going to just kind of sum it up. It's like Harry Potter, but with Greek mythology thrown into it. It's the same kind of thing of boy finds out he's meant for more than, what he thinks.
The usual corny lines of, you were meant for more than this.
It's essentially like that, but it's got Greek mythology, and anything that has Greek mythology thrown into it, I'm kind of a sucker for, because it is just so, it lends itself to big, nonsensical action films. Like, you had Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans. Plus, you've got, the whole, God of War games, like the PS3 games that go on. So I love all of that stuff. hopefully this is going to be like just as nonsensical and completely laughable action in a good way, obviously. But I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to wait and see on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, like I keep saying, Sharknado.
Yeah. And then the week after next, we've got Kick-Ass 2. Kick-Ass 2 comes out. We've got Two Guns coming out in a few weeks. We've got Planes.
Yeah.
We've got Elysium that comes out in a few weeks' time.
Elysium should be good. That's meant to be a reflection, basically, of society.
Yeah. There's tons of films. Like this next month is going to be so busy for us. I mean, we're like...
Yeah, no, I'm sure we'll be able to do it.
Oh, we'll be. I'll make sure. We'll make sure we do it. We want to give the reviews to you people. But anyway,
Thank you for watching this show.
Yes, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Take care.
Yeah, take care, guys. Bye.
And don't forget Sharknado.
No, do forget Sharknado. Please forget Sharknado.